Right now at 10, the manhunt has ended for the suspect in the killing of Charlie Kirk. What his widow had to say as she addresses the public. And a Madison vigil is held for Kirk, how Dane County Republicans are remembering the conservative activist. And a look ahead at our sit-down conversation with the new chief of police in Madison, John Patterson, what he thinks about the department potentially using body cameras. That's all ahead on News 3 Now at 10. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Eric Franke. Sarah Carlson is off tonight. The only suspect in the assassination of Charlie Kirk sits in a Utah jail tonight. 22-year-old Tyler Robinson was arrested after a more than 30-hour manhunt on suspicion of aggravated murder, discharge of a firearm, and obstruction of justice. President Trump pushing for capital punishment for Robinson and says he plans to attend Kirk's funeral. Tonight, Kirk's widow, Erica, spoke publicly for the first time since her husband's death.
2 days ago, my husband, Charlie, went to see the face of his Savior and his God. Charlie always said that when he was gone, he wanted to be remembered for his courage and for his faith.
Robinson is expected to be formally charged on Tuesday ahead of an initial court appearance. And tonight, the Republican Party of Dane County held a prayer vigil to remember Charlie Kirk. Condolences and condemnations of the attack have been pouring in from across the country and here in Wisconsin. Local Republicans say more people should follow Charlie Kirk's example.
Speak truth, people, whether it be your Thanksgiving dinner or whatever. Just when somebody will say something and conservatives are quiet because we're trying to be hide in the closet here, and it's like we don't have to hide in the closet. 85,584 people in Dane County voted for Donald Trump.
Local Republicans also hope this attack does not stop conservatives from appearing on campuses like UW-Madison to bring their ideas to students. Turning to weather, the warmer temperatures also bring with it a chance of storms. Alex, when might we see them this weekend?
We're keeping an eye right now, Eric, to see if we're going to see any redevelopment of the showers that currently stretch from Camp Douglas here on Radar 3000 down to about the Richland Center area and then down to Platteville. What we're going to be keeping an eye on is to see if we see any redevelopment, likely starting up near the Black River Falls area, Camp Douglas, as we put Future Track into motion here. And then those showers and thunderstorms really hug the I-39, I-90, I-94 corridor from Camp Douglas, the Dells to Madison, and areas off to the east as we get into that 2, 3, 4, 5 o'clock time frame. You see that consolidation of showers and storms mostly for Madison areas off towards the north and towards the east. We could certainly use some of those raindrops out there, those shower and storm chances. Again, Madison areas to the east stick around through Saturday. That's going to hold that high down, still warm though, to 82 degrees. Sunday, not expecting any precipitation. We're going to go up to 84 with a touch of humidity. When I come back in just a couple of minutes, I'll let you know what the latest will be on those temperatures for next week.
Alex, thank you. And we now know the name of the man accused of killing an elderly man in Mazo, Maine last month before being shot and killed during a standoff with police. The Wisconsin Department of Justice's Division of Criminal Investigation identifying him as Andrew Collimore. Collimore is accused of killing Thomas Muckler. It happened at a home on Dunlap Hollow Road and then taking Muckler's truck. Law enforcement began a high-speed chase with Collimore up in Marinette County after spotting the vehicle. After crashing, Collimore reportedly got out of the truck and approached officers, and that's when police opened fire, killing him. The DCI now investigating the shooting and will turn over any reports to the Marinette County District Attorney's Office. We have continuing coverage from last night. A statewide Amber Alert still active for a child in Portage County. Law enforcement says she may be with her uncle. Ruby Lehman was last seen at her grandmother's house in Almond. That's about a half hour south of Stevens Point. Police say they believe she's now with her uncle, Jordan Coyle. Ruby is 6 years old with brown hair and green eyes. Last seen wearing a lavender dress with smiley faces and white shoes with the characters from Lilo and Stitch. Coyle, 34 years old, red hair, a beard, mustache, blue eyes, said to be about 6'3". Coyle has a peace symbol of a tattooed on his chest. He also has tattoos of a dinosaur, puppy, butterfly, and cat on his arm. He's believed to be driving this, a white 2001 Ford F-250, Wisconsin plates, WC-2249. If you know where they could be, you're asked to call the Portage County Sheriff's Office. Madison's former police chief Sean Barnes wanted the department to have body cameras by the year 2027, but now there's a new face in that role. So does the timeline still stand? Well, Madison PD is the biggest department in Dane County without that technology. Last year, the department did a 90-day trial that found officer behavior did not change while wearing those cameras. New Chief John Patterson says, though, 2027 isn't necessarily a practical timeline as the city is coming off the voter-approved referendum last year.
We're still managing, some of our budget challenges for next year. And so I don't think we'll see them immediately, but I'm going to continue to prioritize those as an acquisition in the future.
Now, we also got Patterson's response to President Trump's threats to deploy the National Guard in cities like Chicago. You can hear why Chief Patterson told us it's something he's never had to think about. This Sunday morning on For the Record, it airs at 10:30 a.m. Well, the city of Madison has reached a new collective bargaining agreement with the union representing its Metro Transit drivers and mechanics. The city says the contract includes a 3% increase in pay per year, quicker progression in vacation accrual, and guaranteed personal protection equipment. Metro drivers have been working without a contract for months. The new deal will be voted on at the next Common Council meeting. Still ahead at 10, Alex tells us about the warm-up this weekend, and the National Guard is deployed to Tennessee. This as an ICE operation in the suburbs of Chicago turns deadly. Stay with us.
You're watching News 3 Now at 10. Moving forward.
President Trump is expanding his crackdown on crime by deploying National Guard troops now to Memphis. Tennessee Governor Bill Lee says he is coordinating with the Trump administration to work out the details of the mission. This comes as an ICE operation turned deadly. Officials say authorities working in a Chicago suburb shot and killed a suspect they say tried to ram his vehicle into the arrest team, dragging an officer with the car. The officer involved is said to be in stable condition. Investigators have been combing through the belongings of the teenager who opened fire at a Colorado school this week. Agents have searched his room and backpack and his locker at Evergreen High School outside Denver. The sheriff's office says the 16-year-old had been radicalized by an extremist network. He shot and injured 2 students before fatally shooting himself. That shooting happened in the same county as the Columbine massacre, where 2 teenage gunmen killed 14 back in 1999. Turning to weather, we made it into the 80s today. Even warmer weather, though, coming this weekend. Alex, what's the latest on our incoming high temperatures?
Yeah, Eric, the latest is that our highest temperature this weekend is going to be 84, and that's going to be Sunday because we're going to have some showers and thunderstorms to deal with for parts of the area on Saturday. Then 85, then 86, back down into 84 to 82 next Wednesday and Thursday, even going further out into the 10-day period here. Look at that, still the upper 70s. Normal high temperatures 10 days out from now are right around 72 degrees. So we're going to be nearly 10 degrees above normal now and nearly 10 degrees above normal 10 days from now. Now, more about those rain chances here. Keeping an eye on radar 3000. We expect this to light back up again, even though we have a couple of showers here, Juneau, Adams County, down towards the Platteville area. We expect redevelopment of showers and thunderstorms as a little energy kicks in from the southwest. So as we get to 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, notice that we have showers and a couple thunderstorms lining from Camp Douglas to the Dells, maybe as far south as Madison, but better chances to the north and east of Madison as we go through the morning hours. And then as we get towards that 5, 6 o'clock time frame, those better chances, let's just say Madison and areas off towards the east, northeast, and southeast. And we can't rule out that 1 or 2 of these storms may be on the strong side with some gusty winds, some small hail, some vivid lightning, and some heavy rain. Southwest Wisconsin, you have a lesser of a chance of seeing showers and thunderstorms as we head towards 8 o'clock. And then these storms, well, they're going to just keep pushing off towards the south and towards the east, and they're out of here by the time we get to the lunch hour on Saturday. And then things are going to warm up because we'll get those partly sunny skies and that humidity to build on in. We can't rule out an isolated severe storm, but it's a low threat. Heavy rainfall, gusty winds. We can't rule out some marginally severe hail in 1 or 2 of those storms as we go into Saturday morning. And that's why we have that isolated category, what we used to call marginal risk. That's a level 1 out of 5. That just means an isolated storm or 2, Dells, Madison, Monroe, Janesville over to Elkhorn, Jefferson, Watertown. You can't rule out that possibility that we might have a warning or two for the hail and the gusty winds. Again, 82 tomorrow, and then we'll do 84 as we go into Sunday. No rainfall is expected on Sunday at this point in time. And then here's all the 80s, lows in the 60s, so a bit of a muggy stretch. We're heading towards fall. And as I've been saying for the past couple of days, there's nothing fall-like in our forecast. And the muggy meter staying in the little humid to the humid range here, all the way going out into the early to mid part of next week. So get ready for, it's the end of summer. It's going to feel like summer. And those warmer than normal conditions, they're going to stick around here through the end of September. We're going to get right into the start of fall. And it's going to be warmer than normal, and the rainy stuff likely staying just to the west of the area. So I anticipate that we're going to be drier than normal as we go out a little bit later into September.
All right, Alex, I'm still hoping to get a little bit of rain tonight.
Yeah,
we can get some rain.
Yeah, we absolutely need a couple of those raindrops. There's lots of areas in southern Wisconsin that are a bit on the dry side. So hopefully we can get some raindrops tonight, and hopefully we can get a little bit of rain with some of that warmth that we have next week.
But it was a beautiful night for high school football. That's all for news. The final drive starts now.
Welcome into week 4 of high school football. I'm Andrew Banstra, and this is the final drive. Let's get into it with our game of the week. A Badger Large battle. Milton has been magnificent this year, and they put their undefeated record on the line at Oregon. The Panthers coming off a loss, their first of the year at Sun Prairie East. Grab your popcorn, folks. This should be a good one. Scoreless in the first quarter, and Milton's Mr. Do-It-All, Lucas Weinert, comes up with a big special teams play. He's a receiver, a corner, their kicker, and a punt blocker. He recovers it in the end zone for the early score. What a play. And later, final seconds of the first, and the Panthers pounce. Ethan Pagels puts it downfield for Romani Wright, who comes away with it with the big-time chunk play, setting up Oregon for this. Pagels dances out of the pocket, buys himself some time, and threads the needle, finding his man Braden Evans for the score, but the Redhawks would respond. Their QB, Jake Cummins, fools everyone, including the cameraman, and finds Caden Pernot, who would not be denied. Milton wins it and stays undefeated, 28-6, the final score. Elsewhere, Cambridge just keeps on crushing it. They would down Deerfield 55-7, improving to 4-0 themselves. And what a bounce-back win for Poynette. A tough test for them tonight against Waterloo, but the Pumas pounced back in a big way, taking down Waterloo 36-0. There were so many good games on tonight, we couldn't just have a game of the week. We needed a game of the night, too, and for that, we dip into Division 5 and send it to our very own Nash Dara.
Andrew, the Glarner Knights of New Glarus headed north to the city of Richland Center to face the Hornets. New Glarus hasn't lost a game, while Richland Center's only loss came at the hands of the reigning state runner-up, Potosi Cassville. Setting the stage for a match we may see again later down the road. It turned into a defensive battle in the first half after 2 field goals from New Glarus. Hornets quarterback Jaden Shep escapes the pressure and throws it downfield before it is stripped from the receiver's hands by defensive back Ethan Kolstad, who would get the first touchdown of the night. But the Hornets, down 13-0, would not go down without a fight, as Shep would get a pick 6 of his own. While dodging some tacklers, Shep would keep his team in the game near the end of the first half. However, this would be the only points of the night for the Hornets, as they fall to New Glarus 25-7.
Thank you, Nash, and let's get back into the Big 8 for a big-time matchup. Janesville Craig meets up with Middleton, a pair of 2-1 teams looking to establish themselves atop the conference. But you can't do that without withstanding the craziest plane ride of your entire life and, of course, taking care of business in the Big 8. We head to the second half. Janesville Craig driving, trying some trickery, but Middleton's Anthony Politeri with the deflection. How about this? Playing some pinball And who finds it but Espen Achenbach? His arms corral the interception, and it leads to this for Middleton. Joey Passaglia, play action, fakes out everybody and finds Luke Sheehan for the score, putting the Cardinals up by 4 scores. They go on to win it. 31-0 is the final. After surviving a scare last week, Waunakee is still undefeated. And honestly, as good as they've looked in the last few years is what they look like right now. This Warrior team looks like a state champion squad of years past, looking to improve to 5-0 against Sun Prairie West. And this one was all Waunakee, marching down the field in the first quarter, finishing off a drive with what they do best, the ground game. Colin Murphy calls the first score of the contest 7-0. Later in the first, the Prairie Wolves looking for their first points, but the Warriors came howling. Wes Ducharme shakes things up, blocking the field goal attempt, and Chuck Farrell chucks up the deuces. You can forget about catching Chuck. Make it 13-0 Waunakee, who still wanted more. In the second, back to the ground game and give it to Jack Silverson, who jacks the tally up. Waunakee goes on to win it 41-6, the final score. Well, man, has Monona Grove been good this year. They suffered their first loss last week at the hands of Waunakee in that overtime thriller we mentioned. They look to get back into the win column tonight. Standing in their way, DeForest, a Norski squad needing a win, but Monona Grove wasn't going to let that happen. Silver Eagles leading 36-0 in the third and used the defense to tack on another 2. A high snap for DeForest. Norski picks it up, but the Silver Eagles shut the door with a safety. Make it 38-0 Monona Grove. And later, DeForest would get on the board. They'd play it safe with the run call. Up the middle, Dalton Lee goes to eat that donut off the scoreboard, but that would be the Norski's only score in the contest. Monona Grove gets back into the win column, 38-8, the final score. Elsewhere, a barn burner in Platteville. How about this one? 40-38, the final score. And then headed over to Edgerton in what is hopefully the only win for the Crimson Tide on the football field this weekend. Edgerton wins it, handing the Cheesemakers of Monroe their 4th loss of the season. To finish up, we make our way to the Mount, where Watertown wandered over to Mount Horeb with an upset on their mind. Meanwhile, the Vikings vying for their 3rd win in 4 weeks. We start in the first quarter. Mount Horeb Barneveld's Brooks Hendrickson. How good is number 12? That good. A fantastic player is he, and he keeps it going this year with a 37-yard keeper to the house. And the Vikings were just getting started. Later, Hendrickson finds his man Henry DeRosier. He gets a nice block, throws a stiff arm, and says goodbye. Off to the races for a 33-yard score. And Hendrickson, well, he was just getting that wing warmed up. Later on, Kelson Baumgart catches a bomb and finds the end zone. How about this? Mount Horeb scores 3 times in the first quarter and climbs their way to the top of the scoreboard, getting the win over the Watertown Goslings 45-13. Elsewhere, Clinton, how about a barn burner? You talk about this, a defensive battle. 2 undefeated teams, Clinton and Beloit Turner. Clinton comes out on top 6-0, the final in Beloit. And how about this one? A high-scoring battle between Lake Mills and Belleville, but the Elcats come out on top 47-14, the final score. But we are just getting started with sports coverage. When we come back, Wisconsin volleyball goes on the road for the first time this year. Could they bring a win back to Madison? Next in sports. It is a big test for the Badgers across the board this weekend. We start with volleyball, where Wisconsin made the trip south to Atlanta for an NCAA tournament rematch from last season, visiting Georgia Tech in a top 25 showdown. The Badgers' first road trip of the season, not an easy one by any means, but they made it look that way. Set point in the first, and how good has Grace Egan been in her first year at UW? That good. Egan spikes it back at the Yellow Jackets stinging a first set win. And later in the second, the other big impact newcomer, Mimi Collier, crushes one right back at Tech, who can't touch it. Badgers take the second set, and in the third, it is more Mimi. Collier and Egan lead the Badgers to a dominant win on the road, and they'll bring back a sweep to Madison. Get your brooms out, folks. What a start to the weekend for Wisconsin. The Brewers had the day off yesterday, and while I was standing on the sidelines of Lambeau last night before the Packers game, who else do I run into but the Brewers? What other way to enjoy your day off? Sal Frelick, Joey Ortiz, they were all there, just to name a few, hoping that Packers win rubs off on them. And check this out, playing the Cardinals this evening, and Jackson Churio is going to make the Cardinals defense suffer. Looks like a normal sac fly, right? Well, the throw is just a touch off line. It bounces off of a helmet, and here comes another run. Make it 3-0 Crew in the third. And later, Bryce Durang causing another defensive blunder. The throw home bounces off the catcher's mitt. The Crew score another run, and they would go on to win it. How about 8-2 for a final score? Speaking of big tests this weekend for Wisconsin that are down south, Wisconsin football has something to prove. And tomorrow they have the ultimate opportunity to prove that they are legit when they go to Tuscaloosa and play none other than Alabama. Yes, that Alabama, who obliterated the Badgers last season at Camp Randall. This time around, the Badgers say they are going to shock the world.
It's a challenge that you love to accept, and we have. And it's what you come to Wisconsin for, right? Come to play in those big environments and prove everyone wrong.
It will be really cool because this is the first test, and you couldn't ask for a better test just to see what your team is made out of. And, you know, you have your assumptions about how your team is going to do and everything and how you're going to click together, but this is where you see.
We're going to see, too, if we think here on the News 3 Now team that they are going to shock the world. And I say, where is the faith, people? Eric has Alabama winning 31-13. Sarah, in a closer game, has the Tide by 7. Alex has the Crimson Tide by 21. I think Bucky wins it in a close one. 21-19 is my guess. And stick around. We've got a sunscreen-related ice cream mashup that I know that doesn't make sense, but it will when we return, and you've got to see what I'm talking about next on News 3 Now. And finally tonight, would you try sunscreen-flavored ice cream? Well, you might get the chance. Van Leeuwen Ice Cream and Carnival Cruise Line teamed up for an unusual collaboration celebrating the end of summer. They created a sunscreen ice cream for a marketing campaign. That's sure marketing. Ingredients in the ice cream include coconut cream, cocoa butter, vanilla extract, and sea salt. People magazine staffers tried it and said it was surprisingly delicious. I don't know, Nash, are you trying sunscreen flavored ice cream?
Hey man, if I hear ice cream, I'm trying it, so I gotta try it.
I am out. Thanks for watching News 3 Now at 10. Coming up next is The Colbert Show.